Okay, let's see some of the features of demand. The first feature of demand is the utility of commodity. Now, what do you mean by this? Let's say you have an individual who earns 10,000 a month. Now he has two options. He can take a car which has an EMI of 8,000 per month, or you can use this 10,000 to get wheat, rice, and clothes. So what do you think what he's going to do? Obviously, he's going to go and buy these things. Why? Because if he spends 8,000 on the car, he would not be left with any money to eat. Okay? So the demand of a commodity depends on the utility of the commodity to a person. So if the utility of wheat is more, the demand for wheat is going to be more. If the utility is more, demand is going to be more. If the utility is less, the demand is going to be less. Now let's say instead of 10,000, this person was earning 100,000. Then he can very easily buy these things. Right? Let's say he spent 30,000 on this. So with the balance 70,000, he can afford a car. Okay? And now he gets a choice to also kind of buy some jewelry. So the question is, where should he spend this 70,000? Now he feels that he has to go to the office every day and he walks across or takes a bus. So that's a lot of pain for him. Whereas jewelry is something which he wears occasionally or his wife requires occasionally, so the utility is less. So therefore he goes for the car. Again, so utility of the commodity and the ability and willingness to spend decides the quantum of demand. The second thing is that the demand for the commodity should also be met equally by the purchasing power. I mean, you might be having the desire to buy a car here when your income was 10,000. Even at this price, let's say the car was 300,000. He was willing to buy a car. What is demand? Demand is the quantity which a consumer is willing to buy at a particular price. But there was no money. So therefore we say that the demand has to be backed by the purchasing power as well. So if you don't have the money to buy something, then the demand obviously does not exist. Even though you have the desire, even though you are willing to buy at the price which is there, but if you don't have the money, then there is no demand. Okay? So demand is also to a large extent dependent on the purchasing power of the person. The third is demand is also dependent on time. So as I told you in the previous example, the monthly demand for wheat might be 6 kg. The annual demand might be 72 kg. So it's also dependent on the period of time for which you are. Right? The fourth thing is that final consumer goods. When you talk about demand for goods and services, demand can be for two things. If you are an industry, you will have demand for machinery. Whereas if you are an individual, your demand will be for items manufactured through this machinery. So when you say demand, it refers to the final consumer goods. Let's say you manufacture clothes through this machinery. So demand, insofar as it is used in these economic terms, refers to the demand for clothes, which are the final consumer goods. Demand does not include within itself the industrial goods. It has to be the final consumer goods. And 5 is that demand is always for a desired quantity. Okay?